Hi, this is James from Tabletop Gaming Guild, and today we're going to take a look at Viral. Viral is a 2 to 5 player game published by Arcane Wonders. In this game, you're going to be a virus infecting the human body, trying to eke out your best survival and get the most points by the end of the game. Let's go ahead down to the table here. I'll give you a general idea how the game plays, and then we'll come back and I'll give you my final thoughts. All right, so this is Viral. In Viral, you are a virus that has just infected a patient. Now you must spread out and mutate in order to infect other organs. Your goal is to gain victory points by creating crises in the organs and by controlling zones in patient's body. But watch out for the other viruses controlled by other players and the patient's powerful immune system. All right, so in this game, we are going to play over 6 rounds. Players are going to earn the victory points by infecting the various organs on the board here, and they're going to control the different zones. So the zones here, you can see there's going to be 6 different zones on the board. So here's a zone, this 3 is a zone, these 2 are a zone, this 2 is a zone, and that 1 up there is a zone. At the beginning of the game, you would have gotten your 6 cards specifically for your virus. You would have got your player board. You would have got tokens, and those are set based on player count. And then you got your 5 starting mutation cards. You would also then, in reverse turn order here, place out your viruses here after you've picked the first player and set up this tiebreaker track right here. You place out some more components, but then at that point you're ready to play the game. So what do you do during this game? Well, you're trying to gain majority in one of these zones, or as many zones as you can. And like I said, there's 2 sections in most of these zones, so all of them have 2 sections except for this section right here that has the stomach, small and large intestine, and the brain just has 1 zone in it, or 1 location in it. And you're trying to control those locations by having the most, and you have to have some in both regions here. So I'd have to have one in kidney 1 and kidney 2 and have the most to be able to control it. Now, if, let's say, it was something like this, yellow here would control this zone because they're the only ones in both locations, even though purple has more. So that's something to keep in mind. You are also trying to trigger crises so you can get more points. And the way crises work is you have these little crisis tokens on the top, and you're going to look at this little handy dandy reference here, and this tells you how many of the viruses need to be in a area for a crisis to trigger. So if we're playing with the 5 players here, there needs to be 5 viruses in this kidney area for a crisis to trigger, and you place that crisis token on there, and it gets resolved on step 4, which we'll go over in the future. The other neat thing that I'll point out in the game is there's some interaction with the scoring track. So with the scoring track, as time goes by, you're going to gain more points. If you hit this spot right here, you're going to be able to get a new mutation from the mutation deck. And you can either take one from the face up pile, or you can take one face down. If you do take one face down, these get cleared out and you put 3 new out. In addition, this little spot right here will flip these tokens over, and now they're going to become more valuable areas. So all of them will flip. Now, even if you go around and you get more than 40 points and you hit these again, you won't get those. They only hit once as you score through the game. So you're only going to get your mutations on 4, 8, 12, and 16 points. And that's it. You're only going to be able to get 4 more in the entire game. All right, and we have this marker here that's going to help you keep track of each of the steps during a round. And with the first step right here, so this is going to be step 1, all players will simultaneously and secretly choose 1 zone card and 1 mutation card. So you're going to look through your zone card deck here, and your zone card deck is really simple. So your zone card deck here is just simply going to be the different locations on the board. So here's the brain, here's the heart, here's the lungs, here's the pancreas, here's your stomach, and here's your kidney. So you're going to pick where you want to place your virus, and then you're going to pick one of your mutation cards. And you only have 5 of these at the start of the game, so you're going to try to get to that 4 points pretty quick, which is not too hard. And all these have different symbols we'll go over a little bit, but these are the actions you're going to be able to do. So you're going to pick one and pick a location. So let's say I actually want to do the stomach area because I'm in there. So I pick these 2 and I'll place them face down, and I'll place them face down, if you notice, in this by the side this one location, because you're going to actually end up doing this twice, and there's a 2 location here too. So once everyone has picked their first ones, you're going to simultaneously flip your cards. Then in turn order, everyone's going to resolve their cards. So what do these things mean? So this is going to be the location, and this is going to be the actions you can take. So some of these will have these little blue borders on here. So if you have that little symbol on with a blue box, you can only activate that if you are in that organ. Now, these are the mutation cards, and all mutation cards have these actions on them. You could choose to take your action in any order. So I could actually move to this blue location and then do this action, which I can show you what all the actions are later, but just know that you're going to activate a region and you're going to do your actions. After everyone's done that, you're going to do it again. So I'm going to pick another card in another mutation. I'll put it by the 2. So I'll put it by this 2 here, put it over here. Just so you can see better, I'll put it by the 2. Everyone's going to flip over, and then we're going to take those actions in turn order. After everyone's taken their actions, you're going to pull cards. You might have a pile here you won't have in the first turn, but you will later on. And then you're going to place all the cards you played here. And these cards are not going to be available next round. So you have to play. You have to be very careful on your strategy for that. And that is all there really is to step 1. So step 1 is really basically your actions. You're moving around of your viruses. You're producing more viruses. And then drawing what you've played last turn back into your hand. And then taking the cards you played this turn and setting them aside. And they won't be available for 1 round. So now I only have these cards available for next round. So there's if players are paying attention, there's going to be 2 organs that I can't go to next round. So, well, technically I can move to them, but I can't activate those. So after step 2, you're going to go ahead and we're going to go to, or after step 1, we're going to go to step 2. All right, so step 2 is the research phase. We're first going to determine which player controls each zone and award victory points. And these zones are numbered, so there's going to be 1, and then you're going to have 2, so you're going to do them in order. So we're going to go up and look at the brain. There's only 1 in there, so someone did win that area. You're going to score the points on the top here. So in the brain area here, the purple player is going to score 2 points. So purple will go up 2 points, and they will go up 1 on the research track. So if you look at this, there's going to be 1 on the research track. So purple will move up 1 on the research track. And we're going to continue on through all these organs and see who controls each of these, and they'll move up the research track. Some are worse than others. This one will put you up 2 on the research track, where this one will put you up 3 on the research track, and this one will move you down 1 on the research track, which is pretty cool. But you're only getting 1 point. Now, if you ever hit the top here, no matter what, even if you win in that sector down here, you can never move it down below. You are stuck. They have figured out a cure for your disease. If there's ever a tie, you're going to use the tiebreaker table. The tiebreaker table, whoever's highest up on here will win. So this is purple would win all ties, orange, then green, then gray, then yellow. However, at the end of the game, the ties are broken in reverse order from yellow to purple. So that's how that tiebreaker area works, and if that comes into effect, that's what you're going to take a look at. After we've adjusted the event track, we're going to move on to the event. So the event is going to trigger something. So we're going to follow the instructions on this card. This also tells you when the game ends, because when we're out of cards, that's the last round, or when we're on the last card, that's the last round. Here, this says number 1, remove all viruses in the kidney 1 and kidney 2. Each virus removed scores 1 point. So we would go to kidney 1, kidney 2. We would remove yellow and purple. And yellow and purple would both score a point. And then this would go back into the box. And the next event will be available for the next round, so you can read it and see what will happen. Then we're going to go to step 4. So we're going to resolve any crisis tokens by the numbers on the token. So there's going to be up to 4 crisis tokens that can happen on there. And again, a crisis will occur if you reach a threshold in any of the organs. So we'll see if there's any areas that can meet that. They'll put a crisis token on it. So the player with the most viruses in that location will score 2 points, and each of the other players will score 1 point. Then you're going to remove all viruses from that organ unless they have a shield. In case of a tie, look at the tiebreaker. So one of the things, so if this place was in crisis, if this was on the shield side, which there's cards that do that and effects that do that, instead of removing it, you would flip it over. There's also an ingest thing where someone can ingest other viruses, and until that virus is removed, this top one, those don't count for anything. But once it's removed, those guys don't get destroyed. So those are the 2 ways that you don't have your virus removed from the area, but that's how you resolve the crisis, is just simply. Then we're going to go down to step 5. We're going to see if anyone has been figured out and they have figured out an immunization for that player. If they figured out an immunization for that player, all that player's pieces will be removed from the board and their research track will be set back down to 0. All right, and then finally, we're going to go to round end. You're going to change the tiebreaker tokens so they match the order on the scoring track. So if we had something like this, we would place them where the one in the highest scoring track, green, would be at the top here. So green would go here. Then you would have gray. Then you would have orange. Then you would have purple. And then you would have yellow. So that's going to be how we're going to adjust the scoring track at the end of the round. And there's going to be a couple more things that we're going to need to go over in this game. And one of them is going to be, what do you do with all those actions that you have? For movement in the game, if you ever have to move, you follow these lines here for these arteries here. And that could tell you basically where you can move down into. So like this one, here's the lines up here, can move up into the brain. They can always move across like this and such. So that's really just movement in a nutshell. You're going to have to follow those lines there. There's going to be different things on these infection cards. Now, infection cards, some of them are going to be worth points. This one's not worth anything at the end of the game, but some of them are. So this is going to be movement. If here is slash, it's move or. So I can move or I can flip one of my viruses to the shield side to protect it. This is going to be the attack token here. So with the attack, remove one virus from one organ that belongs to another player. You must own at least one virus in that organ. So I can remove an organ with that, or remove a virus with that. This here's infect. Place one of my viruses from my player board in any organ. The virus must be placed with the front side up, so no shield. So that lets me infect more. There's also going to be 2 more icons here. Let's see if I could find ones with them. Okay, so here's one. So there's 2 more here. Okay, so this, actually there's one more after this too, sorry. So this little guy right here is a crisis, and that lets you actually place a crisis token in an organ, even if it doesn't qualify for it. And this magnet here is either going to be pull or push. You could pull a virus towards you or push a virus away. And finally, this icon right here is going to be absorb, and that's the one I talked about earlier, where you can suck up the other viruses. So place all the viruses in the organ under your virus. Those viruses are treated as though they did not exist in that organ. So if I have something like this, there's 3 yellow here. I can suck all of them up underneath, and that's their not there for all intents and purposes, but however, if my little guy here gets removed, these guys all pop back out unharmed. So that's the downside of absorb. So that's basically it. You're going to be taking these 6 different steps here during each of the rounds, and there's 6 rounds, and you're going to try to gain points as time goes by and fight with the other viruses in the body. So in a nutshell, that's going to be how you play Viral. This is just a really quick overview, but let's go ahead back up to the table here and I'll give you my final thoughts on this game. All right, so that was Viral. Now I'll mention this is a Dice Tower Essential line. So this is a game that the Dice Tower picked as an amazing game, and I agree with them. This game is a great family weight game that's extremely easy to teach, and if you don't mind the theme so much, it is a great game. And I do like the theme on here, but I could see where it might be off-putting for some people. And I will say the component quality of this game is great. I like the cardboard size so thick. The cards are nice. The board itself is really nice. So overall, the component quality is good. The gameplay is a lot of fun. This is a highly interactive game, and there's a little bit of take that in there with your area control, but it's not overly take that. So it's a lot of fun, and there's a lot of different strategies that you can have in this game for which organs you're going to take over, and there's a lot of variability in this game from which organs are worth more points based on those tiles that get put out at the start of the game. In addition to that, the events, that has a big healthy event deck, so the 6 events are going to be different for most games, and they'll definitely be in a different order, so that changes up the game there too. So there's a high amount of replayability in this game overall. It is a majority control game, and there's going to be a lot that you're going to have to think of with hand management, because the whole game is going to be where you're going to play the pair of cards there, your mutation and your location that you're activating, and how you work your strategy around that, because you're going to do that twice, and those 2 locations and those mutation cards aren't going to be available for a round. So next round I won't be able to use those. So you have to be very strategic in what you're going to be doing and what your goals are, and your other players are too. And they're also watching what areas that you activate and what mutations you use, so they have an idea of what you can't do next turn. So there's a lot of player inactivity in this game, which I do appreciate a lot. I think that a game like this needs to have that, needs to have people invested in everyone's turns, because not only is that just fun, but it makes the game flow and makes the game move faster, because you're not just sitting there doing nothing on another player's turn. You really care what they're doing, so you are paying attention to it. So this aspect in general, it makes this game really, really good. And it's a lighter weight game, so the rule book, I think, probably could have used a little bit of cleaning up in general, just to make it flow a little bit more. But once you get that down, so there's a slight learning curve in understanding those steps, the iconography on the board really will help the rest of the game flow. So once you got those steps down, you'll say, when you move that little token down, you'll be like, oh, I need to do this, I need to do that. And it's pretty straightforward. It's just that initial game might be a little bumpy for the first couple rounds, but not much of a nitpick on there, because, you know, most games you will probably end up having to play it once before you really understand the strategies for the second time. And the good thing about this game is it's not all that long, so you can have fun playing your first game and then jump right into your second. Now that you know the strategies, it can be even more cutthroat. I like the iconography in this game is great on the cards. They're pretty straightforward, so I do appreciate that. And I also appreciate that the description of the iconography is also on your player board. I didn't really show that when I was just doing the really brief overview of how to play the game. But it's all on that board, so there's not like any guessing on there. You don't need to flip through the rule book or anything. It's right there. So you want to know what the shield thing does, it's right there. You want to know what the lightning bolt does, it's right there. So really appreciate that. Really like this. Overall, I really like this game. I feel that this game is going to get to the table fairly often. I think my kids are going to really love this theme, so I'm going to get to play it with them too. So that'll be a lot of fun. But overall, Viral is a good game. It's a good family weight game. So if you're looking for a good family weight game, especially if you like hand management and majority control, this is going to be the game for you. And that is my thoughts on Viral. Thank you for watching.